You're here. I'm here. It's time to do some training. That's why we're here on Tuesday night. So thank you for joining me. Welcome to Training Tuesday. I am Natalie Hahn, CEO of Dirty Girls Consulting, and I'm very happy to welcome you here. So tonight we're talking about tackling the time crunch. And this topic is one that comes up an awful lot because we've got work, we've got our families, our partners, we've got our homes, and then occasionally we actually have things we want to do in general for our community and even for ourselves. And usually by the time we get to the part of the list that includes ourselves, we have completely run out of steam. We're exhausted. And managing our time is probably our number one cause of burnout, stress, and anxiety. It fuels it. The minute we think we don't have enough time in the day, our anxiety and our stress levels go through the roof. And a few years ago, I had a client come to me, and she had mapped out everything that she needed to get done. Carol worked full time. She's a mother. She's a wife. She has a brother and a mother that she's very close to. And she's a huge fan of house projects, of, doing true do-it-yourself sort of fix-up activities around her house. She came to me with her, if I had 26 hours in the day, here's all the things I would do. Like, she added up all the things she felt she needed to get done to manage her job well, to manage her family, and she had 26 hours. And she was like, we got to fit this into the 24-hour day thing. Like, we got to fit it in. And I said, okay, I'm a really, really good coach, but I can't defy the laws of physics. I can't give you a 26-hour day. It's not my thing. But I can work with you to ensure that everything on your list we can fit into a 24-hour day, and that 24-hour day will not only include everything on your list, but will also include the things not on her list. And what was not on her list was self-care, time for herself, and time for some of the initiatives and projects that she wanted to do, but just couldn't even begin to conceive of how she figured it in. And by that, I don't mean the house projects or self-care time. I mean, her company had been launching, for example, a women's networking group, as well as a D&I group, a diversity and inclusion committee. And she really wanted to be part of both of those. She felt like she had a lot to offer to both of those groups. And she was dedicated to her company. So she wanted to see these initiatives really grow and flourish inside her company. But she couldn't see where she could find the time to do it because she already had 26 hours in her 24-hour day. So there's that. I can't give you 26 hours. What I can help you do is sort through what the shift that you actually have to make to manage the time crunch. And we're going to talk about that in a second, because the shift is one that I figured out at a time in my life where I really just didn't have a choice. I just didn't have a choice, or I was going to burn out and everything around me was going to crash and burn, and I could feel it coming. Because when you are a parent, as I was, I have 3 kids, and at this time in my career, I had 3 kids, and I was a single parent, and my family did not live nearby. My family lived across the country. So my support system was very limited. And yet I had to make enough money to support me and the 3 kids. And I had to also keep my 3 kids alive. Like, I had to support my kids. So I was at a point in my life where I really had to figure this out, because the one thing that was very clear was that there's that commercial they run that, parents don't get sick days. Yeah, as a mother, I didn't get a sick day because I didn't have anybody to do backup. And I needed to figure out how I was going to take care of me so that I could take care of my kids, and how I was going to manage my career so I could take care of all of us. And what I figured out in that time was that if I didn't carve out the time necessary for the things that were going to be critical to literally our survival, I had to re-identify what was important to survival. That was really what it was. I had to reclassify what was important to my survival and what that meant for the kind of life I was trying to build for myself and my kids. And the one thing I knew was that, and the number one priority was, how do I ensure my kids feel loved and supported when they have a single working mother who is their main support? How do I make that happen? And I stumbled around for a long time because initially I thought, well, if I made more money and bought them more things, that would make up for the fact that I wasn't home and I was traveling a lot. If I could somehow ensure that at least on weekends when I didn't have to be at the office and when I wasn't traveling, that there were lots of friends and a big friend group around, then maybe that would help. And eventually I got smarter, and I asked them, and they told me. So listen to your kids, because they know of what they speak. But what they told me was what would make them feel loved and knowing that I was there for them was they each wanted one-on-one time with me. There's 3 of them, right? And so they would get tired of feeling like they had to compete with each other or talking over each other to get attention. So they each wanted one-on-one time with me. And they also agreed that I had to be present for karate, which was their favorite extracurricular activity, on Tuesday nights and on Saturday mornings. And they also had it Thursday nights, but I could miss Thursday nights if I needed to. If I could get somebody else to take them, I could miss that. But Tuesday nights and Saturdays, I had to be there. Being there at karate on Tuesdays and Saturdays showed them that I was present. I was part of their community. I was part of their activities and what was important to them. And I was watching them, right, gain skills and grow. And that was cool. And then the other part, the one-on-one time, Wednesday nights became date night. And every Wednesday night, a different child was taken out to dinner. And it was just me and my daughter, or me and one of my sons. And the other 2 stayed home. And it meant that every Wednesday night, they got to choose where we ate. So I was at, Burger King and Friendly's. And so what I will also tell you is at that time, the diet piece, which was important, making sure they ate and they ate healthfully, was important, but it was not as important as having dinner on Wednesday nights. And it was not as important as getting to karate on Tuesdays and Saturdays. So I didn't worry about it if it was the second night this week that we were eating chicken nuggets. I couldn't, because I decided more important than worrying about their chicken nugget habit was making sure that they knew I was there and I was paying attention to them. So getting very clear on what is true to your survival and then what is true to your goals. It's those 2 things together. We have to eat. I need a job. What's true to my goals? I want to excel in my career. What's survival? I got to keep my kids alive. What's my goal? They feel loved and supported and connected to me. So the first thing we do when we're looking at solving this time management crunch, the very first thing you do is get clarity. Get the clarity around what you truly need and want. And it's those 2 levers. It's the baseline, what do I absolutely need? And then what's the vision for what I want? And here's the thing. Initially, you're just going to roll your eyes and go, give me a break. Because you're going to look at the 26 things on your list and you're going to insist that all of them are important. All of them have to get done. All of them are in the have to, must do category. And I'm going to tell you right now, no, they're not. They're not. There's probably a handful that are in that must do to survive category. There's another handful that's in the getting me towards my goal. And then there's a whole bucket of stuff. Stuff that is other people's goals, other people's agendas, random things that we think we should do or we must do, but that do not actually serve our purpose of either taking care of our basic needs or pushing us towards our goal. Now, like I said, I had 2 goals, right? My clarity was around my 2 most important goals. So step 1 is clarity, and my clarity was my 2 most important goals. I have to accelerate my career. I have to get to a place where I can comfortably, financially take care of my kids. I want to be happy and feel rewarded in my career. And I need to do it in a way that my kids still feel like I am present for them, that they still feel loved. So that was my clarity. That was my first step, getting clear on those things. Every decision I made, and to this day, honestly, every decision I make is still pretty much around those 2 categories. Every decision I make then is around, does this help me further where I want to get to in my career? And does this further my ability to be there for my kids, to be there for my family? So getting very clear on what those are, that's your first step. And that means getting rid of the clutter of the things that your boss has asked you to do, the things that your coworkers have asked you to do. We take this on so much as women because we are trained, we are conditioned from childhood. We are conditioned to be nurturing, to be supportive. We are told that we need to work in teams and be a team player. So we worry that when we say no, or when we don't do some of these extra things, that we're going to be perceived as not a team player, not a good coworker, not a very loyal or dedicated employee, selfish, inconsiderate, right? We're worried about all the judgment and all the labels we're going to get when we start putting the boundaries down. But if you're going to reclaim your time, if you are serious about tackling the time crunch, about making sure that you have enough time in your day for everything, for all the 26 hours that Carol wanted filled, the first thing you have to acknowledge is what it is you truly want out of your life. And to do that, to own that, you need to take a seat at the table of being the CEO of your life. You are the CEO of your life and no one else is. And the only thing that you have control of as CEO, the only thing you have control of is how you spend your time and what energy you bring to the table. How you spend your time and what's the energy you bring to that time. You choose that. No one else chooses that for you. All kinds of people can give you all kinds of task lists. But at the end of the day, you have to decide what's important. Today, my survival tasks, I had to call the oil company to get an oil delivery. I had to call the mechanic about my car. I had one more call I had to make today. Maybe it was to the bank. But I had 3 calls today that were in my survival bucket, getting through survival of just managing my life. And then I sit back and look at what do I have to do for my career? What are the things that are going to move the needle forward? Now, clarity is first, right? Understanding where your priorities are. And then the second thing you need to do, it's focus. It's focus on just those things. Those are the things that go to the top of the list. The 3 biggest priorities for your career and the 3 biggest priorities for your personal life are at the very top of the list. And here's the thing with that. I'm not talking about the priorities of the daily task. Like, yeah, I needed to call the oil company today. Could I have done it tomorrow? Probably. Right? I didn't wait till the tank was empty. So, but it's a daily chore thing that has to get done, and it's a 10-minute call, so boom, I check that off my list. I'm talking about your 3 top priorities for your career and your 3 top priorities for your personal life. Those are the ones that are moving the needle for you. Not today and not this week, but 5 months from now and 5 years from now. If you've taken a look at my Prioritize the Mess cheat sheet, and that's in one of the guide sections here in our group, I talk about the 5-5-5 plan. 5 minutes, 5 months, 5 years. When we're prioritizing our daily task list, the 5-5-5 is a good plan because you look at on this list what's going to matter to me in 5 minutes. What's going to matter to anybody in 5 minutes? what's going to matter in 5 months and what's going to matter in 5 years. If you're always focused on what's happening in 5 minutes, you're never getting to moving the needle towards your 5-month and your 5-year plan. You're just spinning on the hamster wheel of today, and I guarantee you most of those activities are the priorities of other people. It's things they want you to do that makes their life easier. It's not things that move your life forward. If you invert your list so that you're focused on what moves the needle 5 months from now and 5 years from now, you have a different priority list. You are focused now on a different set of activities. When I flipped my list and the priority was my kids felt loved, and they told me what makes me feel loved is the one-on-one dates with you and that I see you watching me in karate class, my focus became making sure my schedule included those times. Those times were blocked out and they were non-negotiable. When I looked at my career, I know answering these 3 emails in the next 5 minutes does nothing to further my career. It's just answering other people's questions because other people need things from me and they're pulling at me all the time. But if I think about where do I want my career to be in 5 months and where do I want it to be in 5 years? Well, at that time I knew I need a promotion. I need a promotion and I need a raise in 5 months, and in 5 years, I want at least another 1 or 2 promotions in my belt and certainly a couple more raises. What do I need to do to make those happen? Give me the top 3 things that I need to do to further my career in 5 months, to further my career in 5 years, and those are at the top of my to-do list. And once I do those, then I'm going to worry about all the minutia that needs to get done for the day and that other people want from me. But I know that 5 months and 5 years from now, I want my kids to feel loved. And I know that 5 months and 5 years from now, I want to have advanced my career. And I can look at the 16 emails from my coworkers looking for this piece of information or asking me to do that or to look something up that I know they could look up on their own in 10 minutes. And those can wait until I have focused on the goals that were most important for me to move the needle longer term. So, number 1 in tackling the time crunch is get clarity. Get clarity on what it is that's important to you. Get clarity on what you need for your baseline survival, and get clarity on what you want your life to look like in 5 months and 5 years. Number 2 is focus. Focus on just those tasks that fit that criteria of this helps me survive and this helps me further my life. This helps me achieve my goal. Number 3, every high performer, every true high performer is a high performer both personally and professionally. And to stay a high performer, they have a schedule. They have a schedule that takes into account how they're using their 24 hours a day, how they're using their 168, I think it is, hours a week. You have the exact same 168 hours a week as everyone else on the planet. Oprah has 168 hours. President Biden and Kamala Harris have 168 hours. Putin, thinking about politics, he's got 168 hours. Everybody does. Elon Musk, 168 hours. Jeff Bezos, now thinking about business, right? Your mom, your cousins, everyone, we have the same amount of time. You as CEO control your time and your energy. You control your time and how you choose to spend it, and you control your energy and how you choose to show up in that time. So, your third piece, right? Clarity, focus, and a plan. You need a plan for how you're spending your time. And what a plan means in day-to-day lingo is you need a schedule. You got to schedule your time. And then you have to honor your schedule because you're the only person who can. You are the only person who can enforce that this is how and where you're spending your time, and this is the kind of energy you're going to show up with. And that is what creates the life that you love. But you're the only one who can do that. And when you create the schedule and you stick to the schedule, you are now creating boundaries around what it is you want in your life. You are now creating boundaries that other people will learn, if you enforce them, to respect and honor, so that you have enough hours in the day for the things that you want to get done, for the tasks and the activities and the time that builds the kind of life that you want to live. So, get clarity, get focused, make a schedule. And I know that sounds really tactical and a little bit of a no-brainer, but here's the thing. With the schedule piece, you're not just mapping out your meetings for the day. This is not just work meetings, because we do that already. We use Google Calendar or use Outlook, use some tool where people schedule meetings on your calendar, and then you get annoyed because they book up your day or they schedule over stuff. That's a boundary. What I'm talking about is not just that. It's that and schedule what time you wake up. Schedule the 30 minutes, 45 minutes, hour, whatever time it is in the morning that you need for breakfast and coffee, for walking your dog, for doing meditation, for getting your kids ready for school. Schedule the time in your day for a coffee break, a lunch break, getting your kid on their Zoom class, calling your mother just to check in. Schedule the time in the evening. When are you going to make dinner? When's the grocery shopping get done? Are you still going to the store or using Instacart? You are scheduling your time to get things done. And you color code it so that you can see exactly how much time you're spending where, because when you color code it, you instantly see how much time you're actually putting into work versus how much time you're putting into, say, your kids, your self-care, exercise, chores, community work or programs. Let you color code every activity so that you can see, are you actually creating balance? And if you are giving too much in one category, why? Ask yourself why. Why is this necessary? What am I achieving here? How does this help me build the life I love? There's no magic formula for what we call work-life balance. There's no right number of hours for playtime and work time and all of that. But you will know what feels right to you. Create a schedule, let it sit for a couple weeks, and if it's not working, then you tweak it. But you've got to let it ride for a couple of weeks. You can't tweak it like within 3 days, because within the first 2 weeks, when we're having a rough time with our new schedule, it's also because we're adjusting. We are not used to this. Give yourself a few weeks to get used to it and then figure out, yeah, that time really doesn't work for me. I need to move my workouts to the afternoons, or I need to move them first thing in the morning. Or I need to figure out a better time, a better way to splice up the time with my kids, because they actually have their meltdown at this time. So I got to book that time out of my calendar. But whatever it is you need to do, figure it out, but live with the schedule for a few weeks before you tweak it, so that you give yourself a chance to lean into the new schedule and figure out what's truly going to work for you to create the time blocks that you need. So I love helping women do this, because this is a very tactical tool. It's a very tactical tool, but it shows us right away, it shows us, how do we need to start thinking differently about how we manage our life? Here's my life in color-coded, right, in a color-coded format, and I can see where I'm giving too much or maybe not giving enough. And that's just the start of figuring out, how do I start thinking a little differently about what does it mean to be the CEO of my life? Where do I find the confidence to set those boundaries and to hold them? How do I decide which boundaries are appropriate or not appropriate for what I want to create and what I want to do? All of these things I work on with the women that I coach. And starting with the schedule, it becomes a really easy tool for us to immediately get a sense of, where are we getting overwhelmed? Where do we need to make adjustments? And now let's start talking about how we're thinking, like what's the mindset behind those adjustments? So what I'd love to offer you guys, if you drop the word, I'm trying to see here, my notes here, what I wrote. If you drop the word time in the chat, and I didn't see any comments tonight. I've just been blathering on, ladies. I hope you're all doing well tonight. It's Tuesday. It's a great night. Drop the word time in the chat, and I'm going to send you my template for actually doing your color-coded schedule. And this is, like I said, it's just a very simple, easy tool, but you can right away start figuring out where you're spending your time, how you're spending your time, and if you're happy with it or not. So drop the word time in the chat. I'll send you the schedule. I'll send you some notes on how you should be thinking about filling this in. And that's just one tool I'm happy to share with you guys to help you figure out how you tackle the time crunch. So your 3 tips for getting started. This is a mindset shift, right? This is a mindset shift. It is, how do I rethink about, how do I get clarity, right? How do I rethink what's truly important for what I want to have in my life? How do I focus on just those things that I have decided are important? How do I put those first? And then how do I create a schedule that honors the clarity and the focus that I've just identified? How do I build a schedule that allows me to focus on what I need to do for survival, accomplish what I need to do to start moving the needle towards what I want my life to be, and still have time to sleep, to eat, to have self-care, and maybe just to sit on the couch sometimes and do nothing and have fun? This is the kind of work that I love because it shows us how some of the very tactical ways that we live through our day, how we go through every moment, it's our choice. And we get so caught up at work and at home on all the demands, right? Everybody's demanding a lot from us. It's a ton of pressure. And it puts us in this mode where we get really reactive because we're so trained to just support and respond. And we're good at it. I mean, let's be honest, we're good at it. But it's so draining and it's so exhausting. The minute that we can start reclaiming some of that back, we get a little more energy, we get a little more joy in our life, and we just get a little more breathing room. Just some breathing room, just to think, just to have a quiet place in our head even for a few minutes to say, this is my life and I'm choosing my life. So, if you would like me to send you the handy dandy scheduler that I have that allows you to color code how you're spending your day, and I will send you the notes how to do that, drop the word time in the chat. I will send that your way. And as always, if you guys would love to have a conversation, if you'd rather have a conversation, I'm happy to walk you through the schedule. You can drop the word time in the chat and let me know. If instead of schedule, you would like a conversation, let's do that. So let's do time for the schedule, and let's just do chat. Do chat if you'd like to have a conversation around your time management and how we move you forward so that instead of coming to me with 26 hours that you want me to put in a 24-hour day, we can actually figure out how we rethink the way that you step up as CEO in your life and you show up. So, what did I say? Time for the schedule? Chat for a chat. Free chat, sales-free zone, won't sell you anything. It'll be a quick 15-minute call. We will have a conversation about your schedule, about your priorities, and we'll just get you one step closer to building out that life that you love. Thank you for joining me for Training Tuesday and tackling the time crunch. And I'm not seeing any comments. So I don't know if there aren't comments or if you have questions, because as you guys know, sometimes I don't see them. So if they're there, I will certainly look later and see if I can answer any questions for you guys. But drop time in and I will send you that nifty schedule. I'll send you some notes on how to fill it in and how to be thinking about it. And we're going to get you guys going on a much more balanced life. You know, if you know me, you know I don't love the whole work-life balance thing because, like I said, it suggests that there's like an even time and a certain number of hours that make sense, and they don't. We're all different. We all have different needs in terms of where we spend at work and what we spend at home and what we need for ourselves. My goal is to just help you find clarity around that, and then to have the skills and the tools to implement it so that you are living a life you love. Happy Tuesday night, my wonderful, ambitious ladies, and I will talk to you soon.